If you go and scroll through your Instagram feed right now, you will see that more often than not, you're being shown pages to follow, not the pages that you follow, which is so frustrating. Before you could book someone in for a call, they would probably continue consuming your content because they follow you, and they would open the emails because, email marketing used to fucking work. But unfortunately, email marketing no longer works that way either. So they are still opening your emails, but they're probably not open 1 out of 4. If organic is not going to keep you in their face to keep that lead nurture happening, and emails are no longer that reliable for lead nurture, then what the hell are you going to do? Run ads.
Welcome to episode 145 of the Success School podcast. We have hit 2 million downloads, which is absolutely crazy. We actually hit this a while ago, but had no idea. We just checked our statistics like good business owners doing our podcast KPIs. And this episode today is all about what we wish we knew at episode 1. So this is not just about podcasting, guys. This is about business in general. So if you don't have a podcast, that's okay. We actually don't market to podcasters, so I'd be surprised if many of you guys have a podcast.
This episode is going to make you a lot more money and shorten your sales cycle. Everything we're sharing here about what it took to grow the podcast to this point to get 2 million downloads is everything we've learned about, honestly, marketing and sales and conversion and lead nurture. And I think that it applies across the board. Like everything we've learned from podcasting, we could also easily apply to ads, easily apply to organic, easily apply to YouTube. And we're going to tell you guys exactly how to do that in today's episode.
Guys, the only way we really grow this podcast is if you guys share it with a friend. So if you get some value from today's episode, obviously subscribe, but share it with a friend. That is our main growth mechanism. Steph, do you want to bring us into the teach? Let's give these guys some goods.
I first of all just want to kick off and say thank you. Thank you to every single one of you. Like we actually were a bit shook this morning when we looked and we were like, oh my God. We've hit over, we were actually shocked. We actually looked at the weekly number, and then I very quickly did the math, and then we looked at the all-time number. Yeah. And I was like, I cannot believe that we've had over 2 million listeners.
Probably far more than that.
Probably far more. Like our podcast team will be like, guys, you suck. You're saying the wrong number. But like we conservatively looked at the numbers, and there was more because there's other places and other platforms you can
We've changed podcast platforms like 4 times. Yeah. So like you lose all your data.
But ultimately, we're both super honored that you would take time out of your week to listen to us every week. And it's really not lost on us. So huge shout out to you guys for this.
All right, bring it in, Steph. Let's go.
So we've learned a few things running this podcast to 2 million downloads. And one of the biggest things that we learned, and when we were kind of sitting down to figure out like what have our biggest lessons been, the first thing was that you've got to make it look good and sound good. And we didn't really value that from the beginning. We valued sounding good from the beginning. We've always had our podcast team to produce the podcast for us, which we've been very, very grateful for. They've been with us from the start. But they know it's not down to them how good the podcast looks. But we have messed around a lot with cameras and a lot with settings and a lot with backgrounds. And we've put fake walls up and brought fake plants in and gone to probably every studio, at least in WA, that you can go to and in Koh Samui as well. Yeah. And so we've learned a few things about the importance of it looking and sounding good.
I guess where Steph's going with this is, if your brand looks shitty or cheap, then your customer will have the perception that it is cheap and shitty. So, we're not perfect with this. I definitely think we're getting better. If you scroll through and look at our YouTube episodes over the last 145 episodes, you'd see a big uplift in the way it looks and sounds, which is fantastic. Obviously, our podcast team, TBC, are doing a great job editing the podcast, but also we're kind of working it out with the cameras, lighting, background settings, all that type of stuff as well. But I just want to talk about, and I want to ask you a question here, Steph. How important is it, let's say the regular business owner here that's listening to this podcast, for their stuff to look polished and look great? And why do you think that's important for them? Not just a podcast, but, short form content.
Yeah, I want to preface this with you don't need to go out and buy a $6,000 camera to have short form content look good. Like you can record really good short form content on iPhone, and a lot of creators do. But it is the importance of actually learning that skill and wanting to and trying to get that right. A lot of the time, lighting goes a long way. And I just think any single person here thinks about the way they consume content. We are all aesthetic by nature. We love the way that rooms make us feel when we walk into them. We love, most of us love natural lighting, or you like a moody scene. But regardless, you have an aesthetic that you naturally aspire to. And when you fall on someone's social media page and they put no effort in, their camera's blurry, they're using shitty filters, the lighting's all dark, they're not an aspiring, aspirational character. They're less likely to make money. It's just the way that it is in this social media world. you wouldn't want to watch a movie on black and white. So why would you want to consume someone's content that's dull and boring?
Especially if you sell high ticket stuff or you
Yes.
sell an expensive service, like everything has to match. It has to look good. The brand has to be good. The colors has to be good. The lighting, the quality, everything has to be good. If you sell like low ticket, like cheap stuff, like there is a case and an argument for that. And I've heard that on the internet 100 times. But, you know, like if you sell anything high ticket like we do, like it has to look and sound good across the board. We actually had a meeting with our content guy, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, we need to step up the production of this stuff. Like we need to step up the quality. We want cinematic everything. We want cinematic audio. We want, you know, 10 out of 10 edits. Steph, do you want to talk to that and like, you know, why that's important for us, especially hiring this content role in the last couple of months?
We had to think about the way that your brand is perceived online. And you can find examples of anything that you want to look for anywhere, right? But one thing that we noticed was that the biggest brands that we look up to, people like, you know, HormozyAcquisition.com, even Stephen Bartlett, Chris Williamson, these people who are building these really huge brands that people love, they never put out Yap style content on their phone. It's always like cinema production. It's always high production quality content. And it's because ultimately they want to be taken seriously in their marketplaces. And we kind of reflected the same thing. We were like, well, we do sell something that is higher ticket. It is not a small investment to work with Success School. It's an incredible investment because we help people make a lot of money, but ultimately it's not a small investment. And if we want to be taken seriously by our audience, by the people who are considering investing with us, then we need to look like serious business owners and like we take our shit seriously. And so, we had to have a pretty uncomfortable conversation around what the standards need to look like. And that flows through from everything from the reels and the content that we're creating through to the, you know, carousels, the reel covers, the YouTube covers, the way that the podcast is recorded, the hooks, everything needs to be the best quality it could possibly be. We've been reading a book recently by the CEO of Walt Disney, and he spoke about the fact that they would never, ever, ever ship something unless it was 11 out of 10 perfect.
Yeah.
And we're trying to adopt that in as much of what we create now as possible. We don't want to be perfectionists, but we definitely want to ship something that we're proud of every single time. And I think that everybody should aspire to ship something that they're proud of every single time.
Yeah, I just want to talk to the fact that it really depends on the people you kind of hang around here. So like, especially the standards of the content that you put out. So if you hang around like a yes person and they're always telling you that everything's great and your content's great and everything looks great, and it's really not, they're not telling you the truth. It's very dangerous for your growth as a business owner, entrepreneur. So you want to have people in your corner that are actually going to tell you the truth. And that's what we do inside Success School, is we review our clients' work all the time. So, you know, social media posts, Instagram posts, websites, like all that type of stuff. We tell them if it's good or not, which is very powerful for someone's growth. It's very rare in society today to actually tell people the truth. And the truth is the only thing that will set you free in terms of your growth as a business owner.
If your business feels like it's growing, but you also feel like you're one bad month away from stressing the hell out, then this is worth 30 seconds. At Success School, we have helped over 1,000 service businesses to install a system that brings in 10 to 20 new clients every single month without relying on referrals. And we're so confident that it works that we offer a 30-day love it or leave it guarantee. So if you join and you don't love it, you can leave in the first 30 days, no questions asked. So go ahead and book a free scale session at startsuccessschool.com, and our team will review your business and hand you a roadmap to start signing new clients as soon as next week and dominating your market by the end of next month. And yeah, like your standards downgrade based on what you see around you, and we hold our clients to the highest standard possible.
Yep.
Lesson 2 that we've learned has been to learn to riff. When we first started the podcast, especially when I was podcasting when we teamed up and started podcasting, I scripted every word. I invaded the podcast. We scripted every single word to the point where I would have this huge script in front of me and I would just be reading word for word this entire script that would take me hours to put together. And then I would read basically for 30 minutes. And it was wrong for so many reasons for me. The first reason why it was wrong was that when you're scripted, your natural self doesn't come through. The whole purpose of scripting is so that you say everything right, which is literally taking you away from being your most authentic, most full of expression self. And third, you naturally censor yourself and stop yourself from, like, guys, the number one reason someone's going to want to work with you outside of the fact that you're super freaking skilled is that they absolutely adore the person that you are. They're like, that person's my person. That person's a legend. We have the same values. I want to work with them. And if you're reading a script that is just not coming through, and you're wasting so many hours trying to get it right only for it to be completely wrong. And trust me, because I've done that so many times.
Yeah, I just want to speak to the fact that, if you have any type of content or short form content and it's very edited and very chopped up and you have no ability to riff. What's going to happen if you meet your clients in real life and you can't even talk, or you can't look at someone in the eye, or you can't riff, or you can't get a point across, or you got to go do a public presentation where there's no edits? Like, you're going to suck. So we made the conscious decision, I think it was after episode 20, that we weren't going to script anymore. We were just going to have dot points and riff. Obviously, we're nearly 3 years into this podcast now, so our ability to riff has gotten better. And I think our podcast editing team, TBC, probably appreciates that quite a bit. So there's less edits to it. But I think it is a skill for life, like just getting reps in on short form, long form is going to help you if you ever get to the stage or you ever do live presentations. I think like our retreats would absolutely suck if we didn't have this podcast, because we can just get out so much practice every week, just hitting the reps.
Just to wrap that point up, I think like having notes is important, not rambling. Like there's a fine balance. Like you'll see us looking down right now at our notes. Like we have dot points about things that we want to say and points that we need to hit and points that we want to make sure that this is super valuable for you. But ultimately, like the more yourself that you can be, the better it is, which leads us to point 3, Tim.
We really enjoy being our uncensored selves now. Okay. It wasn't always like this. So there was a time where we would say some shit, and then we would be like, yo, podcast team, cut that out. Don't say that. And especially when it was a bit more heated socially and economically, when let's just say the world got woke, in the last couple of years. And it's not so woke now. But at the time, we were kind of censoring everything we said. And then we would look into our container and we were attracting all the wrong people, okay? Because we weren't expressing our true selves. And then you end up with a business you really don't like and you kind of despise, because you're just working with people who are just not your people. They're not your type of people. Whereas I'd probably say like 50 episodes ago, probably around the 100, we kind of made a bit of a pact with ourselves that we were just going to say it how it is and just speak our mind in our podcast. Ever since then, business has gotten great. We've actually it doubled the business plus some in that period. In the last 50 episodes, attracted dream clients. Everyone we work with is a fucking legend. We can say what we want. Podcasting is way more fun. I don't dread it. I don't, get on the episodes thinking I'm going to step on eggshells and piss Steph off. And then she's going to be like, you can't say that. And I'm like, fuck, all right, I can't say that.
There was a season where I was the problem. Tim's always been pretty uncensored, to be honest. But I was worried about the pushback, like, oh my God, if we say this, then people will think X and then they won't buy from us. And that is true.
Yeah.
But we don't want those people to buy from us. It got to a point where we were like, and there's nothing wrong with those people, but everyone wants to work with legends. Everyone wants to work with people who are just like them. It's way more fun when we can get on a group coaching call and say what we want. And we don't have to be too worried about people's feelings, because they know exactly what they signed up for.
Yep.
And that's what this podcast is really a vehicle for us to be able to do for our clients, is to show you, if you're considering working with us, exactly what you're going to get on the inside. And it's exactly what you hear today.
This is a bit about being unique and being your unique self and showing the world that. Something that we teach inside Success School is called a unique mechanism. And basically what that means, it's your differentiating factor of what makes you different to every other person in your niche. It's something that we're very passionate about teaching. It's actually one of the first modules as you get in to our program in compound marketing called Unique Mechanism. And essentially we help you work out your unique mechanism, what separates you from everyone else. Steph, do you want to talk about Ange, who basically came to us and she wasn't really sure on what her differentiating factor was, and then really went from X to X?
I think, just to carry on from the unique mechanism conversation, right now, most of you listening to this, if you're listening to this, and this resonates with you, you're probably watered down and you probably sound the same as everybody else on the internet. And you're probably saying the same shit that everyone else is saying. And that's why you're not making the money that you want to make. And that's why no one's working with you. And that's why they're going to work with your competitors. And that's why you're constantly saving posts in your social media that are like, oh God, I wish I could be more like that. It's because you haven't quite found a way to articulate how you're different on the internet. And your unique mechanism is this beautiful thing where your skills meet your passions and your purpose for being here and create something that can only be created by you, okay? Most people just haven't brought conscious awareness to that, therefore can't market it, okay? But we helped Ange with hers. She has this really unique way. She's an online nutritionist. She has this really unique way of helping people lose weight. It's nothing like anything that I've seen on the internet before. It completely doesn't require calorie counting, which blew my freaking mind when I met her. It involves calorie conscious, eating, but ultimately it doesn't have anything to do with calorie counting. But she had no way of really explaining that. And she was kind of like, yeah, I just help busy women lose weight. And over time, we really helped her harness her unique mechanism and her process. The benefit of harnessing her unique mechanism, when she came to us, she was making about $15,000 a month. She couldn't quite articulate what she did was different. I think her social media audience then was about 35,000 people. Now her social media audience is up around 95,000 people because she's been able to show her mechanism on her social media posts. People are realizing it's different. They're sharing it with their friends. They're saving it. They want to sign up with her. And she's making on average $60,000 a month every month. And she's only going to go up from there. And it's because it's so different. But if you don't have a way to articulate that difference in both short form, long form, sales calls, webinars, then people are going to be like, well, that's cool. I kind of like you, but I also kind of like this person down the road who's got a way better way of explaining what they do. And the other thing that really worked with Ange, and just to be really clear, is like when you have a unique mechanism, what it was is like she has a 3-step process to losing weight, right? And it involves it's like a genius model, 3 things. But what we also did was we laid in a 3-phase approach. So phase 1 was like 12 weeks. The next phase was like 16 weeks. And the phase after that was another 12 weeks. And what we did was we actually increased her average client life cycle by over 6 months. So she's having to market less on the front end. She still has an incredible amount of demand, but she's keeping clients for longer. And that's one of the biggest levers, especially in the online fitness space, for making lots of money and accumulating additional wealth long term. Just a quick break. If you want to add 10 to 20 new clients to your business every single month, then this is for you. At Success School, we help business owners just like you install a predictable pipeline that keeps you fully booked all of the time. And we have a 30-day love it or leave it guarantee, which means that if you join and you don't love it, you can leave in the first 30 days, no questions asked. We're offering free scale sessions where our team will show you exactly how to install this system into your business so that you can build the pipeline for yourself. Click the link below or head to startsuccessschool.com and book yours now. What do you have to lose? Let's talk about long form, because another lesson for us was that your warmest leads come from your podcast. Now, you don't have to have a podcast for this to be the case for you, but realistically, this is about lead nurture. So what we figured out was that over 90% of clients who had binged our podcast before they even spoke to us were more likely to pay in full. And that's because they had extreme amounts of trust, and also because the topics that we spoke about on the podcast were attracting people who are at the level that we love working with inside Success School. So if you're a business owner and you're doing like $20,000, $30,000 a month or more, and you're wanting to scale up to 7 figures, like you're our jam, you're the people we help the best and the most. And so this podcast is really designed to help you guys see that there's a lot of free value here. There's a lot of stuff that you can be doing to grow your business. And if you want help, obviously that's something that we can help you with.
So what I wanted to do here and talk, instead of just tell you guys like having a podcast is epic, I wanted to give you actual strategies on how you can warm your leads and shorten your sales cycle without having a podcast. So we teach something inside Success School called back-end selling systems. So essentially what that is 4 main campaigns that you set up on the back end, and that is to improve your show rates, close more deals, get people warmer, and this all adheres to the 7-11-4 principle. So what that means is we want people to consume 7 hours worth of content across 11 touch points across 4 platforms. So what we did is reverse engineered this into a system called back-end selling systems. And that means that people get on your calls with you pre-sold, or they come onto your webinars or whatever it is, they already come pre-sold with you. I just want to go into specifically one of these back-end selling systems. It's actually called a retargeting strategy. We call it the hammer time strategy. And what it is we filmed 50 short form videos answering all the objections, all the pain points, all the problems. We added in testimonials. And essentially when someone books a call or comes into our webinar funnel, they will get hit with this stuff on their social media account. The smart thing is once they've watched 3 seconds of one of the videos, they get kicked to the next one. So in a period before someone jumps on a call or a webinar with us, they can consume up to 50 short form pieces of content. On top of that, we're also emailing, and we have a bunch of other cool stuff here. I just wanted to go through a bit of a case study on this. So we helped one of our clients, Lyndon, install this into his business. We took his show rate from low 30% to 75%, and his close rate also went from 30% to 60%. That is without changing anything on the front end. So not more marketing, not more leads, just improving his back-end selling systems. And that comes from increasing trust on the back end. Steph, do you just want to talk about the trust recession and like how everyone's been burnt recently?
Yeah, and the algorithm's just not doing you any favors. Like, let's be honest. Like, unfortunately, the way that it was is no longer the way that it is. All right. So people have less trust than they've ever had before. And before, you probably could rely on, if someone followed you, that they would see a series of your content. Unfortunately, now you follow somebody, and then if you go and scroll through your Instagram feed right now, you will see that more often than not, you're being shown pages to follow, not the pages that you follow, which is so frustrating. So before you could book someone in for a call, they would probably continue consuming your content because they follow you, and they would open the emails because, email marketing used to fucking work. But unfortunately, email marketing no longer works that way either. So they are still opening your emails, but they're probably not open 1 out of 4. And so you're not getting that return on investment. So if organic is not going to keep you in their face to keep that lead nurture happening, and emails are no longer that reliable for lead nurture, then what the hell are you going to do? Run ads. That's exactly why we have the hammer time system, is so that basically what happens is that from the minute that someone inquires with us, every time they open their phone, there we are. And we're answering another question. We're answering another hidden thought. We're answering another process. And in Lyndon's case, like it was huge. Like people were coming on the calls being like, yeah, can I just buy? Rather than being like, how can I know more information? I just want to, I wanted to book. Lyndon runs an interesting business where people would get on for a lot of information, and his sales cycles were very long, sometimes months. And we were able to shorten those right down. We were able getting people onto calls pre-sold. Like, this is exactly what I've been looking for, dude. I've been seeing all your videos, absolutely love them. And adding hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue to his business without adding any additional new leads in. I cannot tell you that 7-11-4 principle. Like, this is how you do it.
All right, guys. The fifth and final thing we wish we knew at episode 1 was just promote the thing. So our podcast team have probably been screaming through the internet at us for quite a long time, but we've finally cracked this. And I know this is very common across a lot of business owners. You guys will make great content, short form, long form, emails, podcasts, whatever it is, and you just do a really weak job at advertising the thing and getting it out there. So, we've both spoken about 7-11-4, but, if you think about this in an entire context, if you're making great content, you want as many people to see it as possible. So how we actually do that is we run ads to listen to our podcast. We also email about our podcast, and then also we share 3 organic clips every single week. We weren't doing this the entire time, and I wish we were. Our podcast would probably be like triple the size of where it is now. But this brings in new eyeballs, new listeners every single week, new business owners that get attracted to what we're doing. And all we did was just fucking promote the thing properly. And I swear, because I'm like annoyed at us because we haven't actually done this the whole time.
And this is relevant to anybody. Like, if you have an offer, and more often than not, when we see our clients like have an offer, run a campaign, we just don't see them advertising it enough. Like, if you're in the middle of an open close cart launch, you need to talk about it all the time. Like, the fact that 1 in 4 people are opening your emails, like your email open rate might be 50%, right?
Yep.
But it's 50%. It's not 50% of the same people every single day, I guarantee you, okay? People are opening every 5th email and they're deleting every other one. And so you need to have that CTA in every freaking email for a series of time if you are in an open close cart cycle, or if you're trying to promote something. And more often than not, you guys have an offer, you promote it once or twice, you tell yourself no one's buying it, no one wants it, and you just really didn't give it a chance. Yeah, you didn't give it a chance. There's so much noise on the internet. You have to be hungry. And we do this for free, and we want as many people to hear as much free content as we can so they can grow their businesses, because there are a lot of people who listen to this podcast who aren't ready to work with us and do need help. And that's why we created this podcast, was so that you could have access to free knowledge and free insights and free lead generation. And it comes down to advertising the thing that you do, actually advertising your service.
2 million downloads, 145 episodes. Here's what it comes down to. Number 1, look credible. Number 2, learn to speak freely. Number 3, be yourself. Number 4, build systems that warm your leads. And number 5, promote yourself consistently. Do these 5 things and your business will grow. Obviously, if you want it to grow even faster, you can work with us. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate every single one of you guys for listening to each episode. And on that note, I want to ask you a favor. If you got some value from this episode and you're new around here, hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. Also, share it with a friend. That's how we grow around here. See you next week.